I am Nachelle Pugh, and you are listening to and watching the Community Leaders Podcast.
What's up? It's your boy Lowe's from the Community Leaders Podcast, and I am here with Nachelle Pugh. How you doing, Nachelle?
Hey, Los, I'm good, and you?
I am fabulous. So, you came all the way from the west side today?
That's right.
All right. West side, the best side?
West side to best side. I'm from the Austin area.
Awesome. So, Nachelle, tell us what you do.
I wear multiple hats. I work in higher education in the Illinois College of Optometry, in which I work with our students that are international, our regular population, and also testing. So pretty much everything. Also, why I'm here is due to me having a nonprofit organization that I founded. It's called the John Walt Foundation.
Okay.
It was founded in 2017 due to the death of my son, who was a hip hop artist here from the city of Chicago, Austin area, a part of a West Side boy band called Pivot Gang.
Okay. Well, what was your son's name? Let's say his name.
Oh, I don't know why I forgot to say his name. His name is Walter. Stage name was John Walt. He later changed it before he passed to Dinner with John.
Okay. So, what do you do for the community?
So basically, when my son passed, we decided to start this nonprofit. Myself and some of the members of his particular group that he was a part of, Pivot Gang. We do so many different things in the community. I guess the most important thing is that we work with youth between the ages of 14 and 24 who are young, inspiring artists. And it doesn't have to be like one particular art. We do hip-hop artists, singers, dancers. We've had some young people that were fashion designers, some that were visual artists, some that were poets or writers. And it just really just depends on the selection of young people that we work with. Each year, we do a scholarship for 5 young people, and those 5 young people put in a application. We interview them, and not just the 5, but we interview as many young people as possible, and we end up giving a scholarship to 5 of them each year, $1,000 each, and they're able to use those funds to develop their career in the arts, whatever their career is.
That is awesome. That's awesome. You have a heart for that. Before you did this organization, what did you do before?
Oh my goodness. I worked in higher education. I've been in higher education for 25 years. So at that time, it might have been about 17 years I had been doing higher education administration. Unfortunately, it's almost a month away from the anniversary of the death of my son.
Okay.
He was 24 years old, and he was coming home from work. He had just started this new job and had an orientation for this new job. And when he came home that day, he was on the train, and this kid that literally tried to rob him 2 years prior was on the same Green Line train, and he walked over to my son. They had a altercation. The fight was over with. My son got off the train. He called me to tell me what had happened. As he was speaking to me to tell me what happened, the kid runs up to him while he's walking, and he stabbed my son to death. So,
Yeah.
it was really hard, but the work that he had been doing in the community, he was a part of Young Chicago Authors, which is a youth organization in the city of Chicago that works with young artists that are rappers and poets and, just different things. And he also was an alum of a program in U Media at the Chicago Public Library here at Washington Center. They did music, they learned a whole bunch of different things. But once he became like an alum of those programs, he still was working with other young people as well that were artists and learning and trying to get to where he was in music.
So his passing and just his life period, just not his passing, but his life period, inspired you to do what you're doing now.
Yeah, when when he was in 7th grade, I was working at Rush University in a college of nursing. That's when my higher education administration career started. So when he was in 7th grade, we had a vacant office in our department. And this wonderful lady, her name is Dr. Sharon Gates. She wasn't a doctor then. Her name was Sharon Gates, and she did community service projects with our students and then also with just people in general in the community on the west side. She came and they placed her in our office. She had nothing to do with our department. And so my office was really cool. I had 3 children. The dean of our college, she was a single mom. She had put her husband through school to be a doctor, and after he graduated and got his job, they kind of separated and they split up. So she was the one with the kids. And by her being the one with the kids, she kind of knew what it was like to be like a mom, working full time, trying to do different things, and just not having the capacity or the capability to do everything that she needed to do.
Right, it was kind of hard for her.
Yeah, it was hard. And so what she did was she would allow, like, if we had our children a day out for school or something, if you had to bring them with you, you would. Or if you just had to pick them up because they're sick or something and you want to finish your day, or even to the fact that I had a child when I was there. I literally had my 3rd child while I was employed there. I would be able to take her with me and take her to the doctor and everything. I'm at the hospital. She's like, why would you go home and take off? Like, you can bring her and she can just stay in your office with you until,
awesome.
whatever. And so my son, he would come sometimes, and he became friends with Miss Sharon Gates at that time. And she did her very first citywide health fair, which was done at what is it? Oh, it was United Center at that time. It was at the United Center, and we made the whole United Center into this huge clinic, and people from all over the city was able to come and get physicals and referrals and testing for different things. And he fell in love with doing community service then, and so for each year from 7th grade until he was 24 years old, he volunteered with Sharon Gates. He did their back to school event each year. And so a lot of times they would need donations and different things. And so he would sit in front of the cafeteria and collect donations for her. So it might be patients that might donate. It might be doctors. It might be just employees. They'll bring, school supplies and all those different things, because it went from the citywide health fair into a back to school health fair as well. So she had 2 events. And so the back to school event, she would take him with her, and he'll go buy school supplies and all those different things, pack the backpacks. And then when the event actually came, he would participate with maybe doing the kids part of the kids zone or something like that. So he always participated with those different things. So community service was really important to him. It was really important to me as well as a parent to, and that was something that I wasn't really doing at that time. His interest is how I ended up doing community service.
What you're doing now. That's awesome. So I want to ask you a little bit more about you. So when you were younger, did you always feel like giving back, or this is something that's just happened now after your son's passing, or were you always this giver that you are now? Who were you when you were 10 years old?
Oh, my God. 10 years old. 10 years old, I was in the 5th grade, a student at Our Lady of Sorrows, which is a elementary school that is on the west side of Chicago. But it's no longer there. They ended up closing and sold the building to a charter school, Elaine Locke or something like that. I was really quiet. I'm still kind of quiet and introverted. I kind of like the Bulls because at that point, Michael Jordan had just came to Chicago and everybody was excited about that. I'm not really a sports person, but everybody was into sports. When
you had to be into Michael and the Bulls during that time.
And so I was really quiet, but I was more a nurturer, more like a parent at 10 years old. I had 2 siblings that are much younger than I am, My sister is 7 years younger than I am. My brother's 5 years younger than I am. I had cousins and everything. We spent most of our time at my grandma's house in the summer and on the weekends. So my grandmother had 14 grandchildren. Pretty much all
Big family.
Yeah.
Huge family.
Pretty much all of us would be there. And I was the oldest girl to be at my grandma's house. I have an older cousin that was a girl, but she didn't come over as often. So I would be the one that's, helping cook, helping clean,
Yeah.
Doing all those different
Doing
things.
a lot of cooking, in fact, because there's 14 kids there.
Yeah. And at home, during the week, my dad was an interior decorator, and my mom worked at the school. And when she would get off, she would help my dad with some of the projects that he may be working on. So I was checking homework, making sure kids have baths, and all those different things. So, just naturally, I was a nurturer. So I guess you can say I was a giver at that time. But yeah, I was just really quiet and introverted.
Okay. So let's bring you forward into high school years. Who were you in high school?
Still the same quiet, introverted person. High school, I went to Providence St. Mel, another private school on the west side of Chicago. I love St. Mel. It was a lot of people that came up after my generation. They're a little more softer. They didn't like all the rules and regulations that shaped me and a lot of my classmates into the people who we are. Sometimes you need a little bit of structure and discipline, and sometimes right now we don't have it. But I went to Providence St. Mel, and I had in my senior year, I wasn't able to go back. Unfortunately, there was an incident.
I was going to ask you, why were you able to go back?
So when I was 16 years old, so I told you my grandmother had 14 grandchildren. Her family is from Houston, Texas, and they had a family reunion. And so I don't even understand this, but we all went to Houston with my grandma.
Everybody?
On the train, just about. Only two of the older cousins. So let me see, where am I? So 1, 2, 3. I'm number 4.
Okay.
I'm number 4. So the two of the older ones didn't come. The one that's right over me, he came with his dad. His dad did come with him. But we got on the train. I had never rode on a Amtrak or anything further than getting on the green line to go downtown or the blue line or something. But we rode on the Amtrak. My grandma took all of us from Chicago to Houston.
So how many people actually went? I got a big number in my head.
Yeah, so my grandmother, 14 minus 2, 12.
12 people.
12 kids.
12 kids, not including the parents.
And my grandmother.
Wow.
My uncle, so I'll say 11 because my cousin and my his dad, I don't know how they got down there. I don't know if they took the plane or did they take the train as well, but we rode down there on the Amtrak. When we got down there, we went to different places because it was so many of us. My grandmother, she went to stay with her sister, and she took the younger kids with her, which included my younger sister, who's like I said, 7 years younger than I. My little cousin, it was 2 of them, a girl and a boy, and they were younger than my sister, so probably 4 and 3-ish. And then everybody else was with me.
Okay.
My mom had a cousin who she was married when she was young, and I think she was married maybe about 2 or 3 years before her husband passed away. And so she never remarried. She worked 2 jobs. She never had any children. She just had these 2 dogs. And we went to her house. She worked these 2 jobs. Her brother picked us up from the train station. He brought us there. She had left keys for me. She had absolutely no food in the house, not because she didn't have food or couldn't afford food.
It was only her.
It was only her, and she worked 2 jobs, and she would be traveling a lot. And so he gave us some money, told us, McDonald's is down the street, she said money, left money for you guys to go there and whatever. And so we get there, and I'm kind of nervous because I've never been outside of Chicago as a teenager. You know, I went outside of Chicago with my parents when I was like 6 or so. We went to Disney, but I wasn't in a familiar space.
Right.
But we got, it's everybody with us. And so we had a whole week of activities, and it was really fun. We went to some picnics. We went, the last day, we went to the family's church, in which our grandparents, our great-great-grandparents were members of, and then their kids stayed members there. My grandmother came to Chicago, and she had some sisters that went to California, so she was the only one from Chicago. And so the last day, my mom's cousin, the brother that picked us up, he was dropping us off and picking us up every day. He had a barbecue, and it was just for my grandmother and her grandkids, and his family. And we went to their barn, and he was walking around, taking us all on rides on his horses. And he had a couple of friends with him, but we was just having a really good time. That was the day before we were supposed to go back to Chicago. And so after that, he dropped my grandmother off at home to her sister's house, and then took us back over to his sister's house.
Okay.
But he didn't leave.
Okay.
So he didn't leave. It got to be later and later, and so we're leaving the next day, and I'm like, man, when is he leaving? Because I wanted to put on my pajamas. And
He was still in the place with you guys.
Yes, he was at his sister's house. She, like I said, we never even saw her except for like at different functions that she would stop through.
Yeah, she had 2 jobs and she had to go to work. Yeah.
And so she'll stop through, and I never saw her in her house. She just trusted that I guess everybody must have been like, Nachelle's responsible, she'll do this, and so, I never saw her. So we were there, and so who all was in the house was my 4 boy cousins, and then 3 girls, myself, my 2 younger cousins.
Correct.
One was 2 years younger than me, so I'm 16, so she was 14, and the other one was 12.
Okay.
And so, we're like, okay, when is he going to leave? Because we want to put on our pajamas and go to bed.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to.
Or you just want him to leave, period.
We wanted him to leave, period.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
especially you want to, take your shower, put on your pajamas and all those
relax.
things. And I wasn't really comfortable, and I wasn't comfortable with him.
How old were you at this point?
I was 16.
You were at 16 at this time. Okay.
He was 27. And so he wouldn't leave. He had his kids with him. And so his kids were in the room with the boys. He had 3 boys, and they were just, playing and joking around in there. But he would never leave. And so I'm the type of person that sleeps with the TV on. And so we never slept in her bedroom. She told us we can sleep in her bedroom, but we wanted to be in a room with a TV. So we would sleep on her let-out couch. And so he never left. So we ended up just, putting on our pajamas, getting in the bed, laying down. And so while we're laying there, I'm the oldest. And so I'm laying in the middle, and the 2 girls. And then my cousin, she kept, getting on me. I'm like, what are you doing? Go to sleep. And she was steady moving, the youngest one. And so I sit up, and I say, what are you doing? And he's in there with us, in the bed.
Yeah.
So when he noticed who it was, he said, not you, you. And he made me get up, and at gunpoint, he told me if I didn't do what he wanted me to do, that he was going to shoot all of us. And I'm going to watch him shoot all of them. So I was assaulted. He acted like nothing even happened. Like my younger cousin, she sat there and she just cried and cried and cried. And, after everything was done, he was like, oh, no, I need you guys to get up. Come on, come on. And he has us to go to the bathroom. Well, he wanted to keep them out of the bathroom with him. But I'm like, no, they need to come in here with me. He was like, oh, you got to take a shower. And so now he tells me I have to take this shower. So I got them in the bathroom. We have no idea what we need to be doing at this time. I'm 16. I've never had anything like this happen. I'm very sheltered.
So sorry to hear that happened.
Thank you. My grandmother, my grandparents, my parents, everybody's just been really well-rounded people that always made sure that we were good. And just to go outside of home, outside of the city, to be with family for somebody to assault you in that manner. And so it was so crazy. He kept, he made me take the shower. He kept trying to get them out there. And I'm like, no, they just want to stay in here with me. And all I kept on thinking is like, we got to get back home. I got to do whatever to make sure that we all get back home.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they understood that at that time, because I really didn't understand it. I just knew we need to get back to Chicago. And regardless of whatever, I'm the oldest, I'm responsible for everybody. We just got to get back home. And so my mom called, after we took this shower, and he's giving us this speech about how, if I tell anybody what happened, that he would never, ever be able to come to Chicago again. And we're family, and I love you, and I've always loved you since you were a little girl. And so he used to come visit. He was a truck driver. He used to come visit.
He used to come visit before the incident.
Mm-hmm. And to my grandma's house. And
Right.
It was like a big vacant lot next to her house. So he would he would pull the truck right there when he would come to Chicago. And when he was giving us this speech, the phone rang. And it was my mom. My mom's in Chicago. And when he answered the phone, she was shocked that he answered the phone, because she would call and check on us every day, and I would answer the phone. And he's talking to her, and she's like, oh, you came to get the kids? And he's like, yeah, And she was like, oh, well, let me talk to Nachelle right quick. And he tells her that we went to the store. We're sitting there.
I see right next to him.
We're sitting there. The boys have no clue what happened.
They're all just playing in the room.
They're in the room. They're in the room. And so she gets to talking to him again. And, she did know that we would be going to the store and different things or whatever. And so they're talking for a long time. And so we're just sitting there quiet, just letting them have this conversation with her. So she said, okay, well, I'll call back in a bit. So they hang up, and he gets, giving us another speech about how, make sure you don't say anything that happened and all these different things. And we're just sitting there just nodding our head like, yeah, okay, we're not going to say anything. And so my mom calls back. And he gives her the same, spiel about that. Oh, they're still at the store. And she's like, well, why did you let them go by themselves? Maybe they're lost or something. And so they're talking again. And, they're talking for a long time again. And then she says, okay, and she hangs up. And so she calls back that third time. When she calls back the third time, I don't know if this was a good thing or a bad thing. But she told him, yeah, I just sent the police there because something happened. My daughter would not be gone that long. Where are those kids?
Yeah.
And so he grabbed his kids and left. And moments after that, my grandmother had come with the police. And so what happened was the rest of the kids, my uncle took them on the train, and he left. And everybody went back to Chicago. I couldn't leave, and my cousin, that 12-year-old, she was not able to leave.
They had to stay there for the police to interview them.
Mm-hmm. So we ended up staying. My mom flew down, and I was down there for about 2 months because of all the processes and all the things that we had to do. Right. And my senior year, I was 2 months, almost 3 months behind. So I wasn't able to start with my class. If I would have came back and started my senior year where I was at, I wouldn't have been able to keep up. School like Providence St. Mel, I was not an A or B student. I was a C student. I would have failed that first semester. And so what they ended up doing with me was the principal sat down and talked with my mom, and they had me to go to an alternative school. Mm-hmm. I was only supposed to go to the alternative school for that first semester, and then I would return the second half of the year. So that situation changed the whole trajectory of my life.
Yeah, your whole mindset. Mm-hmm. Your whole mindset of family, your whole mindset of men.
Mm-hmm. I didn't trust anybody at all after that. I did not. At the alternative school, I got there, and again, I'm very quiet. I'm introverted. I really don't talk to people. And the people at the alternative school, were really good people. And I tested out of almost all of my classes that first semester. So I didn't go back to Providence St. Mel.
Okay.
I graduated. I was 16 years old.
So you were not a C student, you were an A student, just hiding in a C situation.
I guess that's how it was. So I did graduate early. So instead of not going to school for the rest of the year, the alternative school, they made me assistant to the secretary.
Okay.
So I would work in the office, and then they got me registered at Malcolm X College, and I started taking college courses at that time.
So a lot of love was poured onto you during that time.
And I'm not sure if they knew what the situation was, but I'm quite sure they did. But
They knew something.
they knew something. And I made a couple of good friends. A very good friend of mine that went to the alternative school. Her grandma, she lived with her grandma, and they lived around the corner, and we would go to lunch every day. Her grandma would cook like amazing meals and stuff. So we're sitting there every day watching The Price is Right and Family Feud, and her grandmother would cook us like chicken, like a whole soul food dinner every day. You know, she was excited, to do that. And so I started kind of trusting a little bit when I became friends with this young lady and a couple of more people. It was like maybe three of us.
So from the time that the incident happened, and this time, was it a year, 2 years? This is the same year? Okay.
Yeah, I was 16.
Okay.
So yeah, I was done with school, before my birthday. My birthday's in October. School started in August, so it was like 2 months.
Okay.
Yeah, I tested out of everything. Everything that they gave me, I would, they were testing to see where to place me at, and I passed all the tests. I completely passed everything, so it was nothing for me to do at that point.
Okay. So, wow, there's a lot of stuff that happened before your son even was taken from you. So right after that, what did your 20s look like?
Oh, my 20s. So I had my son when I was 18. I was going to school. Funny thing, I went to school to be in radio broadcast. I went to Columbia College. I hate taking pictures of myself. I hate looking at myself on the screen and all those different things. I just do.
We just talked about this.
I know, but
you're
I hate
a beautiful
that.
woman. You should be
that.
seen.
I like to hide behind the curtain.
Okay, there's nothing wrong with that either. If you'd
Yeah.
like to hide it behind the curtain and be just a production kind of side,
I like stuff like that. And so when I was in high school, when I was at St. Mel, actually before, I had a class, and I can't remember what it was for, but it was like a career development type of thing, and we had to shadow somebody in the career of what we wanted to do when we grew up. And I reached out to. Did you listen to WGCI or V103?
Back in the day, all the time.
Yeah. Do you remember Bonnie Deshawn?
Don't remember the name now.
Bonnie Deshawn. I want to say that she was with either Doug Banks' show or Crazy Howard, whoever it was in the morning.
One of them too. Yeah.
She was on one of their shows, and I called and I told her, Miss Deshawn, it's early in the morning before I go to school. I asked to speak to her, and I told her that I was in high school and I wanted to know.
So you called in.
I called in.
You called in, okay.
And I asked her if it would be something that she would be interested in and allow me to shadow her for my career day thing. And she was like, absolutely. And so we scheduled a day, and I went, and she showed me everything that she did. And I was like, see, this is what I want to do. I don't have to stand in front of people and look at people and,
So you wanted to be in radio.
I wanted to be in radio.
All right.
I did.
And you still can be, but go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. But she showed me all those things, and so that's what I wanted to do. So when I went to Columbia, that's what I went to school for.
Okay.
Yeah, but at this point, I have a son. He was 3 months old, and I really interesting thing was that my grandparents did the child care for me. And I had a day that my grandmother was not able to do child care for me. She had a doctor's appointment, and I asked my instructor, did he have another day for his class so I can make it up? And he was like, no, I don't. This is the only day we're doing it. It was control board operations. And I told him why, and he was like, you know what? My son is 3 months old too. I'm like, really? He said, yeah. I'm gonna bring the playpen. You bring your son, I bring my son.
Come on, somebody. Come on, somebody. All right.
And so he came with the playpen. I brought my son, and so they just sat there, and I'm in the room, doing my show because everybody had to do a show every day. So that in our class, so half of the class was like our lecture part, and the other half.
I don't see an introvert when it comes to that.
What? I am introverted. Like once I get comfortable with somebody, then I'm a talker, and once I'm familiar with people, I'm able to like work with them and network and different things like that. And so once we got there and that worked out that day, he told me, he said, you know what, we're gonna give your grandma a break every Monday during this time. Just bring him.
Come on.
So look at God. You see how
Look
God
at
works?
God.
Yeah, yeah.
Put his hand on you.
Yeah. So
All right.
that's what I did. And in my 20s, I had my second child, my daughter, and then I had the third one. So I was married and I had 3 children. I worked for the Archdiocese of Chicago and at Rush University in the College of Nursing. So Rush was my part-time job, which is crazy, but that was my part-time job. I worked there from like 8 to 3 or something, and then I worked for the Archdiocese of Chicago in the evening, and we made lunches. School lunches for the kids at the public schools. So they typically Archdiocese would do the Catholic schools, but we had they had gotten a contract for like 40 public schools, and they needed a second shift. I was on that second shift.
Okay.
And so that's what I did.
You've been busy.
Oh my God, I worked 2 jobs almost all my life. When I was in high school, I worked in McDonald's from the age 14 to 18.
I think all of us work at McDonald's at one point. Yeah, I did too.
Worked there forever. And so like that was just
No, I actually worked there for 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks.
I couldn't.
You know what?
But I did work there.
I worked on the weekends and during the summer. So like on the weekends, on Saturday and Sunday, I would get up and I would open and I would do the drive-through, and it was, it was just something, it was just down the street, just walk down the street,
Right.
and that's what I did.
Okay.
And so by the age of 26, I had purchased a 2-flat.
Come on, somebody. At 26 years old.
So
That's awesome.
I knew if I did not get a 2-flat, I probably wouldn't have been able to afford, to keep
You're
the 20.
smart. It's called smart. If you buy a 2-flat, right? We all know this. Buy a 2-flat, you rent 1 floor.
Right.
And if it has a basement and you can fix it up, you rent that floor.
Yeah.
And then you live for, in Spanish, gratis. Or in English, free.
Say it again.
Gratis.
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 Gratis. I'm going to have to practice that. Yes.
Okay.
And so the reason why I purchased it, like you said, so I could rent the top floor. And I always thought about my kids. Like, so when they get older, somebody can move upstairs or whatever.
They can rent from you.
Yeah, they can. They don't rent nothing. The ones that live in there, they're scot-free, and I'm still paying on the bills. They just spoiled.
They get a little piece of paper saying, you got to move out.
I'm going to write that paper when I get home.
The sheriff's outside. Y'all could come eat food downstairs whenever you want, but you got to leave here.
Yeah. So I kind of learned that from my grandparents. They purchased their home, and they had their home for like over 50-something years. And when they came to Chicago, they didn't know each other. They met each other here. And so my grandmother was a nurse.
Okay.
My grandfather was a postal worker. She worked at Cook County Jail in a medical facility, and she worked with the psych patients or people that may have like some kind of, maybe drug addiction, or they're going through withdrawals because they're now in the Cook County Jail and things like that. So she worked with the patients that are having some kind of psychotic issue. And they had boarders in their place. And so they were working their jobs. They had boarders. The older that the more children that they had, they only had 1 kid at first. And then they had more and more. They had 6 children in total. And so once all those kids came, then no more boarders. And so their house was already paid for before their kids were adults.
Nice.
And so that's why all of us would always be at my grandma's house, because it was a big place.
It's a huge place.
It was a huge place. They had all these bedrooms. On each floor was a bathroom and
You guys
kitchen.
had so much fun.
Oh my God, we
It
did.
sounds like the whole family there all the time. It's like you don't need all the friends. Your friends are your cousins.
I didn't have any other friends. My cousin, my younger cousin, that's like 2 years behind me. We were raised like sisters. We're sisters. That's not my cousin. We're sisters.
Had to be fun.
It was crazy. We was always together, everybody, and so yeah, I kind of mimicked what I learned from my grandparents.
Awesome. So that's 26 years old. You purchased your first home. Now we're a little bit older, a little bit more seasoned, right? A little more seasoned. What are you doing these days? I know you have your organization, right? From your son, and you're working now because you always work 2 jobs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. See, I'm tracking. What do you want to do now? What do you want to do now? Where do you see your organization going, and what do you want to do with it?
So first of all, I know we spoke a little bit about the organization. My reasonings behind starting it was multiple reasons. Number one, I wanted to make sure that my son's legacy lived on and to continue on some of the work that he was doing in the community. That's one reason. A really strong factor that makes me push really hard is the fact that this young person took my son's life. My son was 24 years old. The young person that took his life was 23 years old. And I think about every day when I get up that this boy may have had amazing family. His mom probably did the best she can with him. I don't know this person, the mom. I don't know this young man. He could have had a bad, childhood or whatever, or a good childhood. I don't know. But if he was around people, because with kids, you and I have been kids, and sometimes when your parents teach you, you may not go the way that they tell you or show you. But sometimes if you have that mentor or a person outside of your household, like encouraging you to do better things and do great things, you may listen. I feel like my organization does that. I feel like if we can save one person from being someone that takes somebody's life, then I'm happy with that. If I can help, 1,000 kids or people, just in general that I come across do something different and not take somebody's life, I think that's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
Just the work that is done in our communities, we have so much violence that happens in our community. We have so many young people that are just lost in our community, and just giving them access to resources that they make. Because like sometimes they robbed my son, like him and 2 other people robbed my son 2 years prior to the day that he killed my son. And it's like, if they had some type of guidance or, some type of structure or somebody to tap them on the shoulder, like, man, you shouldn't be doing that type of thing. We got these resources, let's do this, let's do that. Because sometimes people rob people and it's not because they're poor. Sometimes people rob people because
Because they're bored.
They're bored. They don't have anything that they want to do, or they want to prove something to people that may manipulate them into doing certain things.
Happens a lot.
Being a young black male or black or brown male in our communities, man, it's a lot of stuff that you can do that's very positive, but it's a lot more people that have a negative influence that pull and work a little harder to get your kid. And I want them to go to a place that they feel safe and positive and being a positive influence. So that's what my organization, do. I've started it a little bit after the death of my son, February 8th, 2017. By August of 2017, we had started the nonprofit. Over the past 7 years, we built from providing scholarships to those 5 youth each year, to providing those scholarships, mentorship, We have arts-based free. Everything we do is free. Free arts-based workshops for
I love it.
for the youth, and in partnership with the Chicago Park District, we do the Teens in the Park Festival each year. So we've been doing that for the past. Is this my 6th year? It'll be my 6th year of doing this, the Teens in the Park Festival, in which we put out, a call to young artists, come audition. They get a chance to perform. And then the winners of our competition that we have, they get cash prizes. So we do career development with these young people as well.
That's awesome.
It's been, a journey, but I get so much joy. I see young men and young women that remind me so much of my son. That charisma, that passion. Some of them are big motivators, and the encouragement. Each group of kids that I have, they encourage each other. They network and encourage each other. Just being in that audition space, if you were sitting there, you'd be like, oh, my God, these kids are amazing. Because they're like, man, you were so dope. Yeah, let's go do this together. Let's collab on this song. Yeah. And so I never see, any kind of, jealousy or anything that makes them be in not a non-positive way, even to the music that they do. They know, okay, you can't curse when you're doing this. So they got to figure out
That's good.
how to, and some of them, if that's what their music is, I feel bad telling people, you can't do that. But in the same token, if you can expand your vocabulary and to say the same thing that you just said without a curse word, okay.
But it's good because it gives them another avenue to hit other than talking about some violence or talking about treating women wrong or just swearing. It gives them something else to think about. Okay, I can't do all these things. We're going to talk about, some good stuff, some positive stuff. All right, let's do that. I love that.
Yeah, so that's just some of the things that we have been doing, and everything keeps progressing, and I just want in the future to be able to have a space. So I didn't tell you we don't have a space.
You did not tell me that, yeah.
We do not have a space. What I do is I utilize spaces that allow us to be there, like the Chicago Public Library. We are able to do, didn't talk about that either, but we have a apprenticeship program in which we teach young people how to work in a music venue or music festival. So we do that in the summer. These young people, it's not a free program for me, but it's free for them. We get 15 young people, and we pay them to attend our program. We teach them about a music festival and the Teens in the Park Festival that I was telling you about.
That's awesome. I wish I had something like that when I was a kid. That's awesome.
That's what they do. They're on-the-job training. Yeah. And so they really enjoy that. So we do that, and we do pop-ups at Navy Pier, and we have a partnership with Lollapalooza in which our young people get a chance to perform at Lolla.
You are doing such amazing, amazing things out here.
I don't know if it's amazing.
It is amazing. I'm so proud of you right now. That's some great things that are going on, that you're reaching out to people that need you. Kids in neighborhoods where all they see is violence and things that are wrong. You're actually bringing the light into that darkness, and I applaud you.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you.
Great job. So, if you had a superpower, this is the last question. If you had a superpower, what would it be and why?
I think I already got a superpower, and I think, I don't know, people
I love that answer.
They call me Wonder Woman, but I feel like I'm Buzz Lightyear. And I know he's not a superhero for real.
He's a superhero.
Yeah, but that's like me, with the work that I've been doing and just not having the training and the to be a nonprofit. Well, I guess I had training that I didn't realize it, but what did Woody say? He said, Buzz can't fly. He's falling with grace. And that's what I feel like I do. That's my superpower, is falling with grace and making things happen that most people think shouldn't happen.
I love it. I want to thank you for coming down to Community Leaders Podcast. You're amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.